Hello and welcome to the She Is Loved Project. This podcast is dedicated to helping you heal from the challenging and painful relationship with your mother so you can finally experience the love you've always craved. I'm your host, Jennifer Arnise. I'm a mother wound coach, author, and healer who believes tenderness and vulnerability are your true superpowers. Sis, it's time to finally heal your inner little girl so you can start thriving and not just surviving. Progressive, irreverent, and real, this podcast will have you laughing and crying at the same time. Trust me, you don't want to miss an episode. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Jennifer Arnise, the host of the She Is Loved Project, and spring has sprung in the A, y'all. I really want to be working outside at a coffee shop somewhere, but instead I'm here with y'all. But it's okay because I love you. This has just been, so the episode drops Tuesday. Today is Monday. I don't know why I'm telling y'all that, but I guess I'm saying that to say I had an amazing weekend. I'm like a flower. I don't know about y'all, but I love this combination of sun and warm breeze and being outside. And now a lot of people have problems with, allergies and pollen in Atlanta. And I'm so glad I'm not one of them because I love being outside. I love being in nature. I am real country, y'all. Like, I was raised on a farm. I'm used to running outside all day long with no shoes on, all dusty and crusty, just enjoying myself, being a complete wild child. So when this weather comes around, it's like, it's like heaven for me. And so this weekend, me, my son, and some of my friends, we had a picnic out at Piedmont Park. It's like this huge urban park in the center of Atlanta. And we had blankets and we had food and drinks. And there was this old black man like behind us who was grilling, and he had the bomb ass music playlist. He was playing like some old blues music, and then he went into the 80s R&B, and we was out there singing to Isley Brothers and Frankie Beverly and Mays, and we just had such a fucking good time. And I'm still on a high from that. Like Saturday, we didn't do shit. And it was awesome because it was like, what's left to do? I just kind of marinated, in the bliss of that day. So I hope wherever you are, it's warm, it's getting warmer, and you get your ass outside because that's really where it is, And that kind of segues into this week's episode where, I've been on this series about the 4 pillars of reparenting. And so this week we're talking about the 4th and final pillar. And the 4th and final pillar, that's supposed to be a drum roll, to reparenting is joy. And I'm so glad I had the weekend I had because I still am in this amazing place of feeling so much joy and appreciation for really small and simple things that when I think about it, I get really emotional and I could almost cry. But y'all know anything can make me cry, so that's not saying a lot. But this 4th and final pillar is, even though it seems really simple, and I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but do I say that with every episode that we've done in this series? Like, it's really simple, but so I'm back to saying that it's really simple, but it's what we struggle with the most. And it's like, what is joy? My trauma mind wants to say joy is overrated. Really you need to be concerned with getting shit done, producing, being a good person, in air quotes, whatever the fuck that means. And what is joy? Joy, this is what my religious trauma and the relationship with my mother has taught me with joy when I think about it right now, because I'm very aware most of the time, not always, but most of the time aware of the voices that come in my mind that try to keep me in small spaces and in small thinking. So as I'm sitting here talking about joy and how amazing it is and how important it is, the voices in the back of my mind are saying, joy is frivolous. Joy is vanity. Joy is bragging. Joy is bringing attention to yourself and wanting people to see you. Joy is who do you think you are types of thoughts, feelings, and actions. And you don't deserve that. You don't deserve joy. Like, those are the thoughts that literally I have to be prepared to deal with, just because there's parts of me who don't think I'm worthy of joy. So, I'm going to talk about this fourth pillar called joy, but I'm also going to talk about the things that prohibit us from having it. Because if we get rid of the barriers to joy, joy will happen naturally in our life. So it's not so much about finding joy, it's about getting rid of the barriers to joy. And I don't want to speak to your intellectual mind today. I want to bypass all of that, and I want to speak to your heart. And I want you to understand right off the gate that you are worthy of joy. I don't know who needs to hear this. You are good enough to have joy. You don't have to earn joy. Joy does not have to be hard. Joy can be a constant in your life. And there are varying degrees of joy. It doesn't mean that joy is like, oh, you're on this high roller coaster. Sometimes joy is just this quiet ease that you have. When you can be sitting in a space anywhere in the world and you can just be in the moment. You're not out in front in the future. You're not back in the past. You're just sitting right here and you can feel safe in your body. You can feel safe with your thoughts, even if it's only for a few minutes. That right there, you can elongate and you can experience on more and more of a consistent. So I paused a second so I could look up the definition of joy, because y'all know I love the power of words and understanding what things mean. So here is what they call the full meaning of joy. The emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, or by the prospect of possessing what one desires. Delight, the expression or exhibition of such emotion, a state of happiness or felicity and bliss. So that is the meaning of joy. How do you get to joy? And why is joy an important fourth pillar when it comes to reparenting, right? And joy is so important when it comes to reparenting and healing your mother wound, because joy is one of those primary emotions that we feel as children. Joy, for me, and I'm going to give you my lived experience, my lived definition of joy. Joy is freedom. Joy is spontaneity. Joy is being in the moment with your mind, body, and spirit all at the same time, and you fully expressing who you are in any way that adds to that feeling of freedom. For me, when I was a kid, joy was running around in the grass with no shoes on, doing cartwheels and flips all around my yard and playing with my Barbie dolls. My Barbie dolls were so dirty, y'all, because they stayed in the grass, they stayed in the dirt with me, and they were just beat up, arms missing, hair all matted. But I didn't care because she was going to do what I was doing. And I was out cutting flips in the yard until dark and just playing with myself because I was, the only girl. So a lot of times when I was young, I was out there by myself making mud pies. You couldn't tell me I wasn't making mud pies. I would go get lotion from inside. My mom used to use that pink Johnson's lotion, and I would mix it with dirt, and I would make mud pies, aka hamburgers, and then set them in the sun to dry because I was outside cooking, y'all. Like, that is joy. That's joy. And if you have a toxic or challenging relationship with your mother, if you have an emotionally immature mother, emotionally absent mother, there's a very good chance she was not experiencing joy in her own life. Therefore, she was not able to allow you to feel joy as a child, because joy is power. Joy is autonomy. And like I tell y'all, a mother wound is the lack of autonomy. It is not about the relationship with you and your mother. It is the relationship you have with yourself and an ownership over how you express yourself, how you live in the world. And joy is the high vibration of your expression. It is the highest vibration of the expression of you being you. It is autonomy with glitter sprinkles all over it. Okay? It's not about the autonomy of completion. I had a goal and I completed the goal. That's not the autonomy. That's not it. Autonomy is when you can be silly, when you can be goofy, when you can be spontaneous, when you enjoy doing something, even if you're not good at it. That is joy, where it's like pleasure. It is pleasure. And this is another thing why when we think about, I've talked about before how mothers can treat their daughters differently than their brothers. And because this is a gender-based relational wound. And I believe that a lot of that is tied to how the mother is triggered by a daughter's joy and freedom. Because that is true autonomy. That's what I feel like was a big piece with my mother, was I was free. I was born free. And as a young girl, my father was free. Okay. He was like a pistol toting George Jefferson type of dude. He didn't give a damn what anybody had to say. He had an ultimate superiority complex. And I was his daughter and I was a daddy's girl. And I think that was very triggering because he embraced me being wild. He embraced me running and laughing and joking. He was, he liked to have a good time, which so did I. And naturally, we all do. But I believe that my mother had come to know a different truth, that life was about responsibility and raising children was about obligation. And I'm not saying none of those things are true, but not believing, I don't think she believed you could have both, right? And my father was completely out of balance. Like, his thing was have a good time all the time. So I think she felt the need to be so responsible, hyper responsible, to balance his lack of responsibility, because that was the only way she could feel safe in this relationship with this man and these damn kids. And I completely understand that. And I think through my healing and also being a mother, understanding the humanity that was happening, so often, and I hope I'm not going off on a tangent, but I think this is worth explaining. And I love this in the 4 Agreements, when Miguel Ruiz talks about don't take anything personal. And that shit is hard, but it really is true. How your mother treated you, how my mother treated me, had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with her. It impacted me. And yes, she is accountable to how she treated me. But it wasn't about me. Because if it was about me, she would have treated me differently because I inherently have value and I have worth. And she would have been able to see that. So the fact that she couldn't see me showed that it wasn't about me. See, I used to believe she didn't see me, so I didn't exist. She didn't hear me, so that meant I didn't have a voice. When actually, I was there. I could be seen. I could be heard. I was always worthy. She just didn't have the ability to see me. And that is not my problem. That is hers. And I think coming to terms with that allows me to detach my identity from her perception of who I was. Because she could only see herself. She could only see her own pain. She could only see her own trauma. So for her to look at me, she wants to see herself in the best ways. But what she saw with this little girl who lived in joy and who was loving life, even though we were poor, lived in a single wide trailer out in the middle of the country on a farm, was she saw what she couldn't be. She saw what she couldn't have. And she saw joy as a potential danger because joy is innocent. Joy is seeing the best in people. Joy is moving through the world with ease. And in her lived experience, when you are like that, you make yourself vulnerable to danger. And this, again, I'll come back to why the Black mother wound is different from the mother wound of whites. And when I talk about the Black mother wound, I know in this community I have women of color and women who, European women, where the gender bias is so great, where there's this oppression around being a woman, and they can experience a lot of these things too. So I do want to acknowledge that. But it is very different than what white American women experience mainstream when we talk about that type of absence and the reasons for it. They may feel the same way and have similar experiences, but the root behind it being this racism and this societal oppression, because you are a Black woman, takes on a completely different toll on us and creates another category. I can go on for days and days and days about how there's not enough research about that. And when you look into these books, these are mainly white women that they're talking about, but I'm not going to go into that today because a lot of these books still have value, but a lot of times it leaves our story out and makes us feel what? Not seen and not heard. Exactly. But I digress. So what I really want you to understand is joy was triggering for our mothers because we're born with that and they can't accept it. They can't participate in it. And it's also incredibly intimidating, right? And let's just talk about how this wound works, because like I say, the wound is about a lack of autonomy, right? And when we talk about it being a gender-based wound, the mother doesn't feel a sense of autonomy because she is a woman, because she's been told that she doesn't control her life, that she doesn't know any better, that she can't make good decisions, right? Which creates a fear in her because eventually she leaves her parents' homes. She's out here and the world makes her responsible for her own livelihood, right? So you've already got that like, oh shit, what am I doing out here, right? The world is set up for me to lose. Then you have a child that is completely dependent on you who looks at you as an authority. That in and of itself is so triggering because you've been taught by society that you don't have authority. And here you are now having to be a supreme authority over keeping a whole nother motherfucker alive. Not an authority of a job or an authority to do a task, but life and death of a human being. And know where to turn, no tools. besides, I'm not talking about how you feed, clothe, and shelter a child. And if you think about it, a lot of times that is the mothering that we get: food, clothe, and shelter. Because with those things, you can look and see how to do it. Those are things that you can read a book about. It's very easy. You can look to a mother or an aunt and be like, oh, this is how. Everybody wants to tell you how to do those external things for a child. But what we're left in a deficit with is how to deal with our children from an internal basis. That trauma that's still in us, the mother has not processed. She still feels unseen and unheard, and she just has normalized that that's just what it means. Even the fact that Black people say a child should be seen and not heard is the most fucking toxic, abusive, and retarded thing you can say. How is a child should not be heard? Oh my God. We have so much work to do in our community to clean this shit up around how we parent. And I'm always going to bring up slavery because that's where we learn this. When I think about Emmett Till, when I think about the Jim Crow South and how a Black person laughing could get them killed, how whistling or winking at someone, things that are flirtatious and fun and innocent, can get a child killed. Because what are you laughing at? What do you have to be happy at? It's like, as Blacks, we didn't have the authority and autonomy to be happy because that was an expression of value. Because what white folks were then saying is, who do you think you are? Why are you so happy? You think you good as me. So that in and of itself explains how value and joy go hand in hand, because there has to be a sense of you owning how you feel inside and then expressing it outward. That is a level of autonomy. And that's why this is such an important pillar to grasp and to exercise and to fall in love with, because you can't heal your mother wound. You can't heal the relationship with yourself without joy, because it is one of your primary emotions. And in reparenting, you are reparenting the youthful, young version of yourself. And that was we were able to show autonomy as babies, as small infants, by crying if we were in distress, or giggling and laughing and cooing if we felt a sense of joy or happiness. That was the autonomy that we had as babies. And that type of autonomy also was a part of our survival. And it was also how we were able to learn, because through joy, we attracted attention. And through that attention from our caregivers, we built our synapses, because they were able to see us and reflect that joy back and inspire that laughter from us. So that is the purpose of joy. The purpose of joy is to connect. So if you have a mother wound and you have an emotionally distant or absent mother, when you were expressed joy as a child, there was nothing and no one there to see you to reflect that back. So the value of the joy was diminished, and it became, well, what's the point of being happy? What's the point of laughing? What's the point of learning something new? What's the point of being spontaneous? What's the point of being silly and creative if it cannot attract us to be seen by those that we love most? Because that's what we were doing. It was how we were connecting, and it's how we were building bonds. It's how we were creating intimacy and connection, and how we let someone get to know us and how we get to know someone else. So if that opportunity is shut off, how do we connect with ourselves? How do we connect with others? That's where we develop loneliness. That's where we develop insecurity. That's where we start to abandon and reject ourselves and avoid ourselves, because she avoided us, she rejected, she abandoned us. She didn't see us in our natural state, which is one that's in joy. So I'm going to do the same thing to myself, and my value must be in now production, achievement, making others happy. Those things are the opposite of joy. So what I really want you to understand, and you can tell, like I said from the beginning, it's not about me telling you what joy is. It's about me explaining to you the barriers to joy and how you can do that self-inquiry to understand what those barriers are, and using the 3 previous pillars that I talked about to remove them. So when we talk about loving, discipline, and commitment, self-care, and emotional regulation, when you put those to work like a superpower, joy becomes natural. It becomes possible. So we've been building the blocks week to week to week so you can experience joy, so you can be safe enough in your body to experience joy with emotional regulation, so you can be able to be committed to having more joy in your life and doing small things for yourself as a part of your self-care every day to show that you are what? Worthy of joy. So all of these things have been building blocks throughout the past 3 weeks. And when we can grasp these, right? This is why I love this. This is joy is the shit. That's why I started with talking to y'all about my day on Saturday and why we could just chill on Sunday. It was just pure joy to be able to lay out in the park, be somewhere I enjoy being, eating food that I love eating, and being with people that I love being around. And the old me, I'll tell you the part that I'm really proud of myself about for Sunday, and it may not even seem like a big deal, was just me even calling people to hang out, because I wouldn't even call people because I would think, who would want to hang out with me? Right? Oh, it's last minute. I would overthink everything so much I would suck the complete joy out of it. But it was like, you know what? I'm going to have a good time regardless. Let me call some folks and see if they want to come hang out and have a good time too. And I had no expectation, because joy keeps you in the moment, right? And you are in full authority of how you feel. When you are in joy, no one else is responsible for your happiness. You get it that I am the one I've been waiting for. I'm showing up for myself. I'm hearing what I need and I'm providing it for myself. And right now, I need to lay out on a blanket, eat some fresh fruit, and be in the sun. And then to be like, oh, let me call some folks. Maybe they'll enjoy it. And then they came out and we had so much fun. Like I had 2 different sets of friends that came out that didn't even know each other. But it was like we were there like we had all known each other forever. And it was so much fun, y'all. That isn't something that I would usually do, because I would think, no, nobody wants to do that. Nobody's going to come hang out with me, you know. And I love that I have removed so many of those barriers to joy by being able to regulate my emotions, by committing to myself, by creating habits of self-care so that I can just enjoy myself in joy. You get it? And that's what I really want for you. And that's why I'm always talking about the relationship with your mother is not primary. Healing your mother wound is not healing the relationship you have with your mother. Healing your mother wound is repairing the relationship you have with yourself. So what are the things that you can do as you commit to your healing, as you do something for yourself every day and you stay committed to that, when you practice these exercises to regulate your emotions, where you open yourself up to the possibility of being silly and not judging and being hypercritical or critical of yourself at all. What are the things that you can do? Talk to your inner child. Talk to the 5-year-old you, the 15-year-old you, the 11-year-old you. What are the things that bring you joy, right? What are the things that make you feel excited in the moment? Is it being outside? Is it being in nature? Do you have a hobby that you want to try? Do you like watching, Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor comedies, which is what I love to do, right? Because I love raunchy shit. Of course, y'all already know that already. But it's really the simplest things that affirm who you are. Joy affirms who you are. We were taught to take ourselves so seriously because there were so many consequences and repercussions to us just being us that we became so self-conscious, hyper-aware, hypersensitive of everything going on around us that we couldn't even take care of ourselves emotionally with joy, which allows us to be in the space. Joy makes vulnerability possible without us feeling that someone can hurt us, because it's not this way of exposing ourselves to where we need someone else's confirmation. It is, we confirm ourselves. So me being silly or goofy or doing something and being bad at it and having no expectation of being good at it, me only doing it because it makes me feel good, eliminates the need for someone else's approval. Hello? So imagine if we practice this with joy, how we can use it in the other areas of our lives. When we do have intentional goals that we want to pursue, when we have ambitions, there's like, oh, I don't have to be so hard on myself. That other thing that was for fun, I see how creative I am, how innovative I am, how ideas come to me, how easily I can connect with people when I'm in that space. How can I bring that into studying for an exam? How I show up at a new job, meeting new people on dating apps. How can I use that sense of joy and innocence in these other things in my life when I'm trying to accomplish different goals? Instead of, I'm going to, once I get a man, once I get the job, once I get the degree or the certificate, then I can make time for joy and happiness. That's ass backwards. When we make the time and space for joy, everything else becomes possible because our alignment raises and we get in the flow. And we're not moving in this linear, boxed out way of we have to follow step 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It becomes magic for us. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And then you really start to experience your power in the world as you co-create with the universe. That's what this is about. This isn't just healing for the sake of healing. And I've said this before. This is so you can live in the fullness of who you are. Healing your mother wound means creating a loving and wonderful, beautiful, compassionate relationship with yourself, which allows you to be able to co-create the things that you really want in this life. You're not doing all this. We're not doing all this healing so we can just sit and have a humdrum life. We're doing this work so we can have the life of our dreams, the life that we deserve to have. And that is possible. But we have to put in this work first. And joy is really the biggest benefit of it because, for all the things we want to manifest in our lives, for me, I'm going to talk about my own experience. For all the things I want, right? All the material things I want to get. When I'm in a space of joy, I'm already there. I don't even want shit else because I'm like, oh my God, this is how I want to feel. Because like Abraham Hicks says, you want all those things so you can feel good. But you can feel good now and then have those things be inspired into your life, right? And that's why like this work is so important. It's so important because this is the key to living the life of your dreams. And you can do it, right? And that's why we're all here together. And that's why I share this information, because I know how it has transformed my life and continues to change my entire life. It's changing the life of my son and my community. And it's so important for us to do this work. So, I always be begging y'all at the end, like, come on, y'all. Don't just listen. Put this shit into action, okay? So that's pretty much what I have today. Is like, this is a fourth pillar. It's about joy and how we remove the barriers to joy, because joy is natural in us. And that's the work for us to do. So that's what I want you to be looking at. And if you haven't listened to the episodes 12, 13, and 14, I should have told you at the beginning, don't even listen to this. Go back and listen to those episodes. So if you got to this point, so you can really get the groundwork, so you can understand why I save joy to last and what these 4 pillars mean for you on your healing journey. I love you all so much. You know this. I'll be back next week. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be something good. I have some ideas though, so just be ready. Thank y'all for hanging with me and showing up. Thank you for the amazing emails and DMs that you send me. I love knowing that this podcast and this healing community is impacting your life. I love knowing that we are all in this together, because you all confirmed that for me. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thank you for joining me on the She Is Loved Project podcast. Every week, I'm committed to reminding you that you are loved, you are seen, and you are heard. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review it on iTunes and your favorite platforms. And if you're feeling really supportive, click the link in the show notes and consider supporting me via Patreon. This community support goes a long way. Thanks so much, and see you next week.